We are the world. We are not the coaches. Just kidding. Hi, everyone. Athletics LLC. um, Sometimes the way we get to hitting the button to record this is always it's interesting. It's never the same. I don't think we've ever led up to the show ever the same.
No,
That's actually
that's very true.
So, without further ado, Governor, how are you tonight?
Uh, Wondering when this heat wave is going to end. Um, it's been pretty hectic the last, I mean, now we're into the 49, 50-degree morning.
Mm-hmm.
You show up to practice, you have your layers on. By 11 o'clock, the layers start coming off, and you're like, all right, yeah, what happened? Why did I go through 5 seasons in
Right.
4 hours?
Yeah,
What is
Exactly.
this?
we had that about 10 days ago.
10 days ago? Yeah.
Yeah, the morning temp of like 49 and
Oh,
and the post practice temp of like 87.
there you go. That's where we're at. So
Mm-mm.
just keeping the vibe going. That's all I'm doing.
Clyde, how are you today, sir? Tonight, sir?
listen, let me tell y'all something. Between the world that we currently inhabit and my personal world, I feel like I've been dodging and getting hit by stupid bullets all day.
Mm.
All day. It's just one of those days. I got stupid bullet wounds and my back hurts from moving the rest of them. So that's my day.
Oh, don't you ever just want to shut the door of your office and like hide in there? Like that's your only safe place.
That used to work, but see now the toddler who has graduated to 3-year-old terrorist comes to work with me usually. So closing the door gives me like 6 minutes before he realizes there's a door closed, and then he like wants to come in and turn on lights and throw puzzles at me and whatever. So no.
Oh, goodness gracious. Nothing really matters. How are you tonight, sir? Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I'm good. Sort of a mixed bag of, you know, good mood, positive vibes, anger, angst. It's like the seasons in one day in Texas. I had one of these days,
Mm-hmm.
but I refuse. This is my little nugget for the rest of the world. I refuse to go through a day and ever have it be all negative. Now today wasn't even close to that, but on a day that's just like the one that KOP is having, I make myself have 30 minutes of alone time to just think of good thoughts and good things and how life is going to be better.
Well, on this day that we record, it is National Signing Day.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, me you.
Who knew?
Hey, if it makes you guys feel anybody, I didn't sign anybody today.
Yeah, cool.
That's
So,
all I got.
okay,
I was trying to make you guys feel better.
congratulations to those who did sign. Congratulations to those programs who have acquired new bodies. Uh, See y'all in September. Yes.
I, I have a question on the signing day, though.
Hmm.
The NCAA is currently getting rid of the NIL, yeah,
NLI. It is
National letter
NLIs,
of
gone.
intent.
the
Hmm.
national letters of intent. So, what are they signing, and how binding is it anymore?
You are
So,
signing financial aid agreement, and if you want to be bluntly real, it's not binding at all.
Because
well,
if you're going to get out of an FAA, you just lose your deposit, right?
I mean, I'm not even sure you lose that, but like technically, if Chewy signed her scholarship today, correct, the governor's not supposed to be able to contact her anymore. But we all
Ah,
know if he does, ain't no punishment gonna come to him. And
ah,
if he does it enough and changes her mind in June, no one's gonna hold her to account to show up to your school. So,
well,
eh,
so if school B contacts and has calls tampered, like I'm just gonna use the loose word of tamper,
sure.
that can render the athlete ineligible forever to whatever was standing.
That sounds real cute. I will await the day that Tampered Athlete X gets banned for life. However, how you gonna punish the kid for tampering when it's the coach's tampering?
Yeah, not yet, but
So the governor gets to go back to work and Chewy gets banned for life. That sounds
well,
real normal.
I feel like there's gotta be a violation attached to it on that side, but I don't know what the severity of the violation or the penalty is. So, but yeah, it's it is very interesting. And now the FAA becomes binding, how loose ever that word is whoever submits first. So if you, I mean, all NLIs can come back at 7:01 this morning, whenever time zone you were in. So
Right.
7:01 is more binding than 7:02 or 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. So
Wow. It's a cool shirt you got on.
Wild West.
What you got on?
who are you talking to?
You.
Oh, well,
What's
you
happening?
can talk about it because I don't know.
Oh,
That is the it looks like the Grant Holloway emblem from the illustrious Grant Holloway charity golf outing. Shout
sounds
out
like a good
to the
time.
Flamingo.
There you go. Good times, good times.
I think they call that a shameless plug.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it was shameless though. I think it was just a plug. Anyhow, furthering that segue into track and field news, today is the premiere, that's the word I want to use, of season 2 of Sprint.
Mm-hmm.
So Clyde mentioned that there's only 4 episodes.
yeah. I told you I've been absorbing stupidity from the world in all forums today. We got nominations. We got a season of a show with 4 episodes. I've never heard of that in any kind of television. Like,
Interesting.
Yeah, that's it. That is literally always called a mini series.
Yeah.
right. So, and I've seen 3 of the 4 episodes. It's very well, for what they're doing, it's well done. But it's a self-fulfilling negative prophecy. We had season 1 of Sprint, which everybody basically loved and paid attention to, and like regular people who don't even know anything about track were into. And in classic track and field fashion, the reward for everybody waiting on season 2 is 4 episodes. 4. Covering this much of what you could have covered during an Olympic year. I don't get it. I don't know why we would do this. I just don't get it. And so it plays into the idea that we don't have anything interesting to cover, which is obviously untrue. I do not get it, man. The 3 episodes I saw were very good. I'm sure the 4th one will be very good. But man, did they leave. You talking about leaving meat on the bone. They left days of dinner. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I 4 episodes, I don't get it. So I'm hoping, not all that's coming, but I sent a few text messages to folks who would know, and they're all like, yeah, no, 4 episodes. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
So, per definition, a mini series can be up 2 to 4 shows, airings, and it's condensed. A season, it tells the complete story.
There was
That's
no
the difference by
story.
definition. So,
Listen, do you know how mad I was that I waited as long as I waited for the last season of Cobra Kai, which was trash. Like they did so good for so many seasons, and the last one was absolute dog shit. But I waited and I watched them all. Even though as they were bad, I watched them all. 4 episodes? That's all we get? No way.
So, in a nutshell, right? They're saying this season introduces a whole lot of new characters. Gabby Thomas, Noah Lyles, Fred Curley, Twanisha Terry, Kenny Bednarik, Melissa Jefferson, Kashane Thompson, Sharika Jackson, Oblique Seville, Julian Alfred, Letziel Teboho, and Lamont Jacobs. Right? Now, you're going to cover all of those stories in 4 episodes?
You saw all of those faces in 3 episodes.
Oh my goodness.
There ain't a story being covered at all, for real.
At the biggest spectacle in the world, right? Like, are you kidding? Just the Olympics alone and what happened and what transpired at the Olympics would be enough for 10 episodes.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, I don't know, man.
You could do a whole episode debunking the nonsense about Sharika, about Shelly and Sha'Carri being disallowed from the warm-up area for the semifinals, which, by the way, you watch them both there peacefully warming up for the semifinal. Like, that could have been a whole episode.
Right.
But no, like, listen, like I said, I'm on number 4. I saw all those faces. They're all on there.
Well, I said once before on this show, the problem with track and field is, like, we have an incredible show with really, really bad marketing.
Yeah.
Maybe we have to, at some point in time, just accept, like, the one thing that track and field seems to be bad at is marketing or showcasing its own self, its own talent pool, its own, it's like almost one of those deals where you show up to a yard sale and you see something there that is worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's marked for a price of like 87 cents. You're just like, all you can do is shake your head as you're walking away with your new product and just think they just had no idea what they had. And I think that's, in a nutshell, what goes on with track and field. Like, the whole idea that we had a season called Sprint, right? The following year should have been, right? Because great shows have spinoffs. The following year should have been season 2 of Sprint, followed by the off-season spinoff of Jump or of Throw.
Field.
Right? It just, whatever it is, and at the end of the day, we have now fumbled that bag completely, because now you can't do that. And it just, here's what I'll say. I just hope it plays better with the general public than it does amongst track people, because track people are going to be furious. I know this, because track people were sort of pissed off about the first one.
So,
and this one, if it only has 4 episodes, I guarantee there's going to be, like, the track people are going to be like, what are we doing?
So this goes back to a different, a point that we almost have been ensnared by, as long as we've been involved in track and field. If this was an NFL product or a major leagues product or an NHL product or an NBA product, before any of that stuff hit the mainstream, okay, that had to be vetted. It had to be, no, this is not going to work. Do it again. No, this is not going to work. We need this. Hey, this is the athlete that we're trying to push. You need to focus on this athlete. There's much more involvement. But if you don't have a marketing department for a sport that is worldwide, and please spare me Yes. So do they have a marketing department? Yes. But do you know what a marketing department for World Athletics would require?
Sure.
And how many of them and how far and wide they would be spread out around the world if
You
you're
are
properly
you're co-
um,
you're 100% correct. But see, my problem is, damn all of that. This is a Netflix product, and Netflix knows what they're doing. So they've been wildly successful at everything they've ever done, right?
mhm.
So here's for the record, I've seen 3 episodes. None of y'all have seen any of them yet, right?
No.
Not
Okay.
yet.
So I'm gonna throw out this. You eventually will watch them, and you come back and you tell me if you think I'm right, because obviously I don't know. What it feels like watching it is, it feels like they had a narrative that they were ready to tell for season 2, and then they didn't get any of the little premeditated gifts that they wanted. They didn't get to tell the story of Sha'Carri triumphing over the Jamaicans. They didn't get to tell Noah Lyles 4 gold medals. They didn't get to tell any of that because, our sport dictates actual reality.
Right.
And when they didn't get to run with the narrative they wanted, they just kind of threw their hands up and like, yeah, I guess we got to put something out there. In one of the episodes, for example, because Gabby was a part of the original show, in one of the episodes, they show a very cool thing that, I didn't even really realize happened. Alexi, who she did the Athlos meet with, right? I'm sure I just butchered his name. They showed her on stage doing some kind of promo for what would ultimately be that meet. And they showed him talking. And if you don't know who that man is, you might sit there and be like, oh, he seems to be important. They say entrepreneur. I'm going to go Google him. What's that about? And clearly with one episode left, they're not even going to tell you how that whole thing ended. That's not even going to be a part of. So why are you showing that? Like, it's disconnected. And this was my original gripe, if I had one with season 1, was it felt disconnected. This one feels like, holy shit, we don't get to tell the story we wanted to tell. So just abort mission. Because here's the thing. Sha'Carri isn't featured on season 2, right? But she's all over the camera, and they talk about her more than they talk about the people that they're trying to feature.
Interesting.
I mean, honestly, the
It's
season
just
1
weird.
felt like that. It just fell in their laps that the narrative that they hoped would happen happened. Right? Like season 1 felt like we were building towards a story, and luckily for them, the 2 people they wanted to most feature, the American female and American male, won. So that may be true. I'm looking forward to
you got
seeing
to see it.
I'm not going to crush it till I do. I wish that the track and field people would get together and decide that they deserve better and be marketed by those who know how to market. And at the end of the day, look, this is not 1994. We don't need a huge marketing firm. You need 25 of the best social media, not influencers, I hate that word, but 25 people who actually know how to move products through social media. Because that's it. Like, our sport is easy to sell regionally. That's right. Our sport would then be easy to sell globally, right? Because the internet is global. Social media is global.
So what you're describing, Clyde, reminds me of when the series of meets in Great Britain, Sheffield, Gateshead, London.
Yeah.
When those meets were, alive and well, and the British public was, all in. On the ground, it was coordinated and scripted to a T. There would be a guy standing next to the runway with a headset on, and I'm having a conversation or talking to my coach, and I get a tap on my shoulder, hey, go jump. Because camera X is now on you. And it would be like, oh, I just got to turn, oh, the lights are on. Oh, right. And they tried. They tried really, really hard to have everything delineated and to
Yeah.
a point and timed up. Track and field doesn't work like that.
No.
That's
And
not how we operate. And to put on a series like that with a narrative that you're almost telegraphing, okay, this is who we're focusing on. These are our particular or the people that we're going to focus on because these are going to be the winners.
Yep.
You can't do that in track.
You absolutely
Or-
cannot.
Or you have to work backwards.
Yes.
You can't go forward.
Yeah, you can reverse if you shoot enough footage. You can reverse engineer a lot of
Right.
stuff, which
Absolutely.
we absolutely got away with in season 1.
Right.
So here's just, I'm petty. I can't resist this. It's too good. Okay. So for example, one of the criticisms from the track world in season 1 was how they portrayed Fred. Now, Fred didn't do himself any favors getting bounced out of the semifinals, right? But he was barely on the camera. There wasn't a great portrayal of Fred. Fred's on camera a lot more. Fred is a very intriguing character.
Yes.
They show the NYC meltdown, right? But they don't explain it.
Oh,
At no point do you understand that he was there in New York, in NYC, because it was, an ASICS meet and he's the ASICS guy.
Yes,
And then
yes.
after that, he's no longer ASICS and he's Nike Foot Fred at the Olympics. None of that.
No.
Not a word about that. Just, oh, he false started at the meet and that kind of sucked. And now, like, none of that. I'm like, what are we doing? That is interesting. And it is intriguing and it's business orientated. Like, why are we not discussing this?
So many intricacies that, yeah.
Like I said, I've seen 3 out of 4 episodes. I saw Tabojo's face somewhere along the first 3. He ain't said a word. So if episode 4 is all Tabojo, great. It won't make it much sense, but that's what it is. Melissa Jefferson's story is really actually quite intriguing and very cool and deserves to be told. But she's in the camp. So, like they missed so much. I don't know how it's going to wrap up, but there's nothing they can do in 1 more hour that's going to make it right.
Well, hopefully the audience is all going to watch this and they'll shoot you their findings and beliefs, whether they agree or disagree. I'm sure.
And
Yeah. It'll be interesting. We will make sure to get our time on the screen to watch it, to come back and talk to the screen a little bit more about it. So, call it more controversy, not controversy, maybe more discussion, if you would. Grand Slam track made an announcement this week, or maybe this weekend, whenever it was, but within the last 7 days, in regards to
location.
Yeah, where it's going to start, I guess, where it's going to premiere itself as an entity in
Oh no, they
competition.
gave us all the locations.
But I'm saying, like, where they're going to start, like
Yes.
the first drop. So they will be in Jamaica. Now there are some interesting points that the group chat had to point out about its location.
Yeah, so I threw a question out to y'all and I don't feel like I got an answer. Hopefully there is an answer. So if y'all didn't see it, Grand Slam Tracks open event is going to be in Kingston, Jamaica. Dope. It's going to be the first weekend in April. I feel like that's usually the weekend of Jamaica Champs. Is that
it's a week before. Champs are March 25th to 29th.
Okay.
This week the Grand Slam meet is a week after.
A week after Jamaica Champs.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so then my opinion, my answer to this question will be different then. Cool.
Here's what I'm going to say. And I'm not saying this because, oh, America is the greatest. I'm just saying this. If you put together a predominantly American track series and you are an American and most of the people you've signed thus far, most, not all by any means, but most are American, it is the prototypical track and field head scratcher that you would not start said league on one of the ridiculous number of tracks in the United States and then give the Kingston venue all of the look what's coming next, something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I could easily see that happening in reverse now. And I don't want to be one of those people that just poo-poos things before they ever happen. So I'm really and truly going to try to like sit on my hands, you know, wait till my popcorn finishes popping and then just watch these things this year. Right? Because if it's not a combined event thing, it is not like it's not germane to my life. And if it's not a baseball thing, it's not germane to my life nor my pocketbook. Right? But it just feels wrong to me.
Okay. I think the governor will be graceful and eloquent. So I'm gonna say this. I am glad to learn, thank you, Governor, that it is not a combined space with Jamaica Champs. Because oh my God, was I gonna rip that?
Right.
You can't use the children of Jamaica to inflate the idea that people would show up for your thing. Right? So the fact that it's a week later, I think it's an interesting calculation. And it might work. We all know that Jamaica, this is basically their national sport, and they are very, very, very passionate of a fan base. So the bet seems to be, if we were going to use an American example, if you were going to bet money that people are going to show up to watch Grand Slam track and whatever it is, your best bet would be Eugene, because Eugene shows up. So we're going to put it in Kingston, hoping that Jamaica shows up and therefore incentivizes LA, the most distracted sports town on earth, and Miramar, another highly distracted place, to show up. So I kind of get the idea of opening on the island, because at least you know for a fact that people there care about the sport. I like the Miami venue. Obviously, I like the LA idea, but you can't get people in LA to show up to much of anything. So I wouldn't want to see Grand Slam track opening in LA with the mothers and fathers and families of the athletes in UCLA Stadium doing nothing. Or in Miramar, where they have meets there every year, big professional meets, and no one is there at all either, right? So because I want Grand Slam track to do well, I'm hoping that the Jamaican audience delivers for them, and then that, you know, carries over onto American soil. But I will say this: if you're a super fan of the sport and you watch the big Jamaican meets, if it ain't champs, that stadium's usually empty anyway. It was empty for their trials. So it's a hell of a bet. I hope they show up.
So do we know where the fourth meet will be in this series? Because they got Kingston,
I think they
Miami,
only put out the
LA.
Americans. I think they only put out the American venues.
Yeah. So we don't know what the fourth the fourth.
We just know it's overseas.
Where? Yeah.
God, it's got to be London. It better be London.
That would be, yeah.
It
So
better be.
So obviously, a couple
Thinking
of
of a
things
place
come.
where you know that you'll have a crowd.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. It better be London.
So a couple of things come to mind. This series starts awfully early, like really early.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay, like almost a season on itself. When you think about when the European season kicks off, you're talking about not even June. Like you're talking about late June or into July. So obviously when they sat in their boardroom to try and figure out how they're going to approach this, starting out in Kingston, coming off the euphoria of the Jamaica champs, they're hoping that they're going to get some residual. There's going to be that it's going to be in the air. They're going to have some Jamaican particulars that will be there and some of the superstars, and they're hoping they bring that crowd back, right? They're hoping to bring that and fill the stadium. Now, the Miami meet is very intriguing considering the fact that F1 is in Miami that weekend. And it also coincides with the Shanghai meet, which is one of the first, if not the first, Diamond League meet. So they're pulling from, the regular Diamond League series, as well as competing with F1. And the idea that this is going to be a 2-day extravaganza.
2-day meet where you are required to double.
Required, yes.
Required to double. So first,
which is why you got to do it early.
Yes,
you got to do it early.
Yes. So among other things, is there going to be a prelim day, or are you going to run one event one day and come back the next day and do the other event?
Yeah. That's the
Because
model.
otherwise you got to do 4 races.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, it's 1 and 1.
Man, I'm really I'm gonna be intrigued, and you hit the nail on the head. You're talking about a place in Miami where there is so much happening that you are betting that the star power that you have in your collective is going to bring people there that otherwise could be doing 2 million other things in April. I mean,
that's spring break time.
In May, sorry, May 2nd. So yeah. So I mean, boy, I'm hoping for the best. I want to see it succeed. It's just, boy, I think it's going to be pretty daunting. LA, like, and the way this is going, it looks like one every month, right?
Yeah, as
So
if
at
the
the
calendar continues.
yeah. So are we thinking June, the first week of June in LA?
Well,
I mean,
here's
if it
not
follows
that
that
there's
same
anything
pattern,
right, but it says that there's going to be 4 premier competitions, and in its description it says April to September. So the math doesn't math on that, right? If you keep going in that 4-week series, so there's got to be a break somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But then how do you, in theory, right? Because you've got now 3. Well, they're going to announce a 3rd. They're going to announce the 4th location tomorrow. So people don't yell at us so loud yet. We're acknowledging they're announcing the last location tomorrow. So if you go April, May, June off, then July, August, July, September, you know what I mean? Like
the later you get,
again,
right?
The messier
Clyde.
it is.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You ask your contractually obligated crew to go run some doubles.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
and it says
signed up.
Folks, ain't
it's
none of them doing doubles in the same calendar month as U.S. championships.
exactly.
Nor in the same calendar month and required to be before World Championships
Mm-hmm.
in
So
September.
Yeah.
I feel like they put the word September in there as like, then we can run that long. Because even it's in a description, it says with an emphasis on racing early in the season. Racing early season.
Honestly, I would expect that all 4 of these things are done by the end of May.
Yep.
I don't
I
know about the end
see.
of May, maybe June.
April, May, knock it out.
Yeah.
Get your PR. There's not a lot going on.
Yep.
It's, you know,
It's all yours.
the NBA
Yeah.
isn't even really in the playoffs yet. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you
But
know,
we already have the first 2, April 6th and May 2nd.
well, you
So
have
that means
2. It's not necessarily the first 2. We know the first one is the first.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess
You have a
I'm
second.
thinking chronologically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would have to say, I mean, that, you know, when you talk about Kingston, that time of year, I mean, that track is hopping from February
Yeah.
every weekend all the way through until Easter,
Mhm.
right? So essentially you're asking for a slot in the busiest time that track
In
is
the
being
lineup.
used, right? So you're hoping to get a little bit of that energy. As far as Miami is concerned, I mean, it's that is it's a bit weird, you know, that we're talking about early May in Miami. Um, but I have that sense that they want to get this done so these athletes have time to prepare for USA's. I've got to believe that. You know,
That
so
has to be part of the calculus, right?
yeah, yeah.
Or you're
Yeah.
going to piss off a lot of people.
With USA's being at the end of July, first week of August, like you got 4 opportunities to go out there and double up on back-to-back days. Yeah. I mean, you're going to give these athletes some time to bring it down a
And
notch.
let's remember, they're being well compensated.
Mhm.
So get all your doubles out the way, stack
Yep.
your money.
Exactly.
Therefore, you don't really have to go play the Euro game.
Mm-hmm.
Make the team and get ready for Worlds.
Right.
If the GS what Grand Slam, if the GST is August, it's extremely risky.
It is.
Oh my God.
Yep.
So we'll wait and see, of which, you know, we don't do super well. So thankfully there's something.
Okay, so we're shooting the show today.
Yes,
Tomorrow, they're announcing the last location.
correct.
Our show is going to be aired on Friday, so let's take our bet right now. I'm betting London.
I am saying Dubai.
Ah, that's interesting. I see what you
Mhm.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say London because I think it's gonna be someplace in Europe.
Okay.
I know. I'm just trying to think of a different place in Europe.
I wonder if they could actually do Monaco.
So I was gonna say that, but I didn't know if that could be a thing.
I mean,
I mean-
it'd be a little petty.
Yes.
I'm here for petty.
Boy, would it be petty.
I'm here for petty.
I mean, the 2 venues guaranteed, Berlin and London, guaranteed sellout.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Zurich.
Berlin. That's
You know.
Zurich, Switzerland.
Mhm.
I'll
But we
give
know that's not happening.
No.
I'll give you a sleeper. Budapest.
so I was gonna
Interesting.
say that, but then what's the weather like? That I don't know. I'm not
I have
savvy
no
enough to
idea.
know the weather.
I know at Worlds it was ungodly hot.
But crack hot,
Yes.
yeah. But yeah, so that was my only not piece of information that I can make that an educated guess. But I did think that as well. I think it's too soon for Paris to use that track. They're still doing so much to
Gotta
it.
give us a city, Chewy.
Well, I think Berlin.
Berlin.
I'm going with Berlin.
London, London, Dubai, Berlin. Okay.
Yeah. So
Now watch.
interesting.
It'll be in Prague or something, and then we'll all look like it.
That would be kind of funny.
Tokyo. It's the pre-championship, Tokyo.
No, it's supposed to be in Europe.
No, I'm just saying, I was kidding. Yeah. All right. So going into a little bit of education or feeding the minds of our viewers. Have a question for you. What do you deem as the benefits or the negatives of training barefoot? I guess what do you do in your programs as well, if you're willing to talk about it?
This is a very interesting question because it hits close to home, considering that I spent the majority of my time playing in the streets of Georgetown, Cayman, barefoot on asphalt, you know, gravel. I mean, the amount of buck toes and, you know, just, I mean, the idea of playing football, soccer with a tennis ball on the road, no big deal. On the beach, running in the sand, like all of that was commonplace to me growing up. I didn't really understand at the time what it was actually doing for me in terms of making my Achilles rock solid, making my feet rock solid.
Stronger, yeah.
You know, jumping out of trees, jumping off my roof. I mean, random stuff. You know, if there was a fence, I was jumping over it, chain link. I have the scars to prove it. But, you know, as a coach, you know, it's funny how you kind of, you know, bring all of that in, and now it's like, all right, well, you can go do rudiment barefoot. You know, we can do the small hops and work on, you know, proper positioning, you know, dorsiflexing and making sure you know, you're feeling it through your Achilles, through your calves, through your hamstrings, through your glutes. Just feeling that vibration. But in terms of like doing anything ballistic, you know, bounding, stuff like that, I've never really done it. I've never really done it with my athletes. Although I know that there are coaches that do take the time, you know, once a week or so on a soft surface to do it with their athletes. Um, I've been more protective, let's put it that way, with my athletes.
I guess I'll jump in here. I'll say this. I've always believed that your feet are a huge key to things. So all the way back to, you know, the dark ages when I was an athlete, I always did my cool down barefooted. That has morphed into many other things, but I'll say currently, in most cases, the Goon Squad athletes lift barefooted, which scares me sometimes. They don't do all lifts barefooted either, so I don't want anybody to think we're stupid. But here's what I will say. I don't know, and we do some bounding, some hurdle hops, we do some things barefooted. I don't know what it is that, in my opinion, that you have to do. Like, I don't know if there's 10 things I would tell you that you have to do barefoot, but I will say I think it is important to do some things barefoot because of the new shoe technologies. I think the more cushiony shoes, the marathoner types, the ones that the shoe companies keep trying to push on people who don't run distance, they're so soft that if you're not doing things to strengthening your feet, it's weakening the muscles of your feet, and that's terrible. I also think the stronger your feet are, the more return you get back from the fiberglass plate inside the shoes. And if you happen to be in the bubbles, I can't imagine what happens to your feet if they're not strong enough to handle the non-symmetrical surface inside with the bubble. I don't have anybody in the shoe. I guess I do. I have one person who's on the bubble, but he's been in the bubbles for his whole career, like since they started. So I will say, I think you should be doing something barefooted to address the strengthening of your feet. I know there are a great number of European camps that think that, you know, foot strength is like the most important strength to have.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily argue with those people. This is one of those issues that bothers me in the sense of, I think all of us could do better in this space. I think all of us could pay more attention to this space. But the fact of the matter is, given the daily grind monotony of NCAA track and field, this is one of those things that kind of gets lost in the sauce more often. To the governor's point, I wish more kids were raised like that in today's world. They would all be better off for it. But the reality is they are not.
They're not.
They don't even play outside anymore.
Right.
So.
Right. They don't even play outside. And in today's world, these people go everywhere in freaking slippers.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Yeah.
with feathers in them.
Yeah.
So what do we do in this space? I always give them an option of warming up and or cooling down barefoot.
Okay.
We will do some sand stuff, not as often as we should, obviously barefoot. But I'd be lying if I told you this is something I'm willing to argue about at practice. I'm just not. Like, this is an option. Here are benefits for it. Do it or don't. It's hard enough to get them to cool down consistently. I'm not going to debate with kid X who says, like my 3-year-old, the turf is yucky. Like, hey, put your shoes on. Fine. Like, whatever. I'm not going to do it. Right. So, you know, when I saw that we were going to talk about this, I seem to remember my life. I spent a decent amount of time barefooted, but my coaches, I feel like I remember doing a decent amount of things, at least somewhat consistently barefooted. And I think we could all do better.
I mean, it is crucial when you talk about high level, athletes that put a lot of stress on their body. It is crucial that there is a mixture, whether it's a mixture of surfaces, from the hard surface to the soft surface, to even shoes. One of the things that I'm constantly trying to get my athletes to understand is you don't have to train in super shoes every single day. In fact, it is actually detrimental when you think about what the super shoes actually, the position that it actually puts you in. Okay. That is strictly for high performance. And not everybody is built to withstand that day after day after day after day. And there has not been nearly enough research, and I'm sure that at some point it will come out in terms of the amount of injuries, lower extremity injuries that we're seeing, quad injuries, hamstring injuries. Has that increased due to these super shoes? We're not even close, in my opinion, in terms of true data to be able to go back, and then also to Nothing Really Matters point, the fact that when you talk about the difference between collegiate training and professional training, a professional is training when you talk about from that athlete gets to the track until he goes home and collapses on his couch. It's easily 4 to 6 hours. When you add in everything and all the details, all the intricacies, the general strength, all of that. So yes, you have more time to do the barefoot stuff, to get in the sand and do a 30-minute session in the sand, where you're the shuffles, the little bunny hops, the backwards, the sideways, all of that stuff. Because you're building yourself up to last all the way through till September now, every year. So do we have time? The NCAA is so gracious to give us 20 hours a week. Who uses 20 hours a week? I would be curious
We don't come
on
close.
exactly. Even when I leave the 8-hour period, if my sessions are running into 2 hours, I'm just like, ugh, okay. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this up, because it's a different level, it's a different type of commitment. And that includes the little small stuff that you do barefoot, in my opinion.
I feel like the only people that need the 20 hours for real are the multis.
I would say,
Multis and the throwers.
Yeah.
The multis and the throwers actually, run in the 15 to 18
Mm-hmm.
window. And part of it is the length of time that their training sessions are. But honestly, a big part of it is in most cases they lift longer too.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
For this topic, if you happen to be going to the convention, Dr. Saxena is actually doing a 2-part series on foot series. So
Okay.
if you were in Coach's Collab, he actually did some of it. I don't know if it's going to be the same, but he's actually going to do a 2-part series. It starts on, I think, Tuesday, if not Monday night. So definitely get in to see that. Dr. Saxena has done a lot of the surgeries for pro athletes in track and field. He's VJ's dad, if you know who VJ is at UCSB. But a great resource, he's very knowledgeable. So definitely something to look into, if not already knowing.
I can definitely tell you in our group, you learn all kinds of things about your feet because Coach Big League there gives many cues about the moving of your feet inside your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Many cues.
Because it's real. And so my 2 cents, we start our practice shoeless and we end our practice shoeless for the most part. I do think it's very important. 1 for kinesthetic awareness, 2 for proprioception, but for all other reasons is just to become feeling on the ground. Because if you can feel it, then we can move it, fix it, and manipulate it. I too am a little fearful to do bigger movements shoeless, even
Mm-hmm.
though that if you work it, you can do it. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Like if you keep building it and building the strength, I think that is the negative to being shoeless is people get excited too early.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the shoe, we are over supported and now we're weakened. And then they try to do too many things too much, too fast, too often. So I think that is the only negative to being shoeless. It's a great concept, but understanding that you have to build to it because the shoes that we wear every day disable you.
And we've touched on this topic multiple times in terms of the athletes that have literally changed the way they ran to adapt to the new shoes and the position that the shoes put them in. Like I still would love to see a slow-mo of the bubble shoes for the athletes that are hitting with the corner, like that corner of their foot, and they're rolling over
Yes. Yep.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the high amount of shoes where they burst the bubble, and they're wondering why. Well, yeah, there is no, like when you start putting a wedge on a bubble, yeah, it's going to break. There's a very small lifespan of those shoes if you're a heavy hitter when it comes to hitting the track. So, it's I think it's something that I don't think we've done nearly enough research on. I think did everybody see that graphic on the amount of sub 10 fours, sub 10, did you see
It was
that?
10-4s, 10-3s, 10-2. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
And you know, all in my opinion due to the shoes. But inside of that, are we dealing with more injuries now? Are we dealing with more shorter lifespans of athletes? We don't know the answer to that question right now.
Well, I think we're probably in the worst combination general scenario for most collegiate kids, right? The vast majority of them walk around in Crocs
Yep.
all day and then
Mhm.
wear super shoes at practice.
Yep.
So you wear a shoe that is debilitating any amount of strength and muscle movement of your feet, followed by one that demands that you actually have foot and Achilles and ankle
Mhm.
strength.
Right.
So it seems like anytime you have things working against each other, it doesn't seem to be the greatest deal.
No. Well, wanted to make sure we gave you a couple nuggets to take home with you today. So hopefully, if not by that third topic, you got something by the third topic. So again, we understand the fourth location's being dropped tomorrow. Don't murder us in the comments for not knowing while it was coming out. Didn't show was recorded before it. But other than that, everyone have a great week or weekend. Good luck at regionals for all the cross country people, and we'll see each other next weekend. Bye, guys.